Good morning and welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. What a good week. Busy week, lots of things happening, and good to be getting back in the swing of things. Wearing my South Coast Summit t-shirt today, you can't see that. Quite by chance actually, but as it happens, I'm going to be at the South Coast user group this week. It's happening on February. It's happening at the Aegis Bowl Hilton Hotel in Southampton, which is where South Coast Summit actually took place last year. And it's where it's kind of where I was as well last year, doing those kind of videos and all the rest of it. So I'm going to be there on Wednesday evening. If you're around, come say hi. If you're able to make it, go and check it out. It's an event on LinkedIn, so you can go and find it. Obviously free to everyone from 7 till 9, loads of interesting speakers. So I'm going to be there because it's a fun place to be. Anyway, lots of things to talk about this week. So let's get right into it. First of all, a blog post by the Microsoft 365 platform team, the devblogs.microsoft.com team. This one's by Vesa Juvenan, and it's all about the SPFX SharePoint Framework 1.14, which is the newest update. It's now in public preview, and it's got a bunch of different updates. And this might be a good time to get into SPFX if you haven't before. So if you're already in the SPFX world, you will know all about what this is. If you come from the SharePoint world, then you'll be probably familiar with the SharePoint framework. Just, I guess, for you need to know there's a new version out, and it's 1.14. It's got a whole bunch of different features, which I don't propose to go through now. The bit that's interesting, actually, I think probably for people who are new to SPFX, is there's some simplified scaffolding work on project, creating a new project from using the scaffolding to create a new project that's all ready to go with SPFX. So going to ask less questions and kind of assume a bit more and make it easier. And also those templates that you create from Scaffold, they will work better with Microsoft Teams. They'll also work better with SharePoint Online, but the bit I care about, they'll work better with Microsoft Teams. There's also a minimal template, which I really like. So I'm a big fan of these minimal scaffold templates that don't add in a ginormous great demo project you don't really need, and then you're not really sure what you can take away. These are not like that at all. These are like, this is the least amount of code you need to compile this project and have it work as a web template. So I think this is really cool. So you can go and get it. Let me share my screen. You can go and get it. There's some pictures here on the types of things that you can do and what it looks like and what's new. But there's a whole bunch of new things, so don't really want to go through those. But the bits to kind of be aware of is this bit here on how to install it. Very easy to install. You can do it directly from npm. And then there's a bit here about what the SharePoint framework is and a whole bunch of extra kind of resources for support. So really good idea. And so if you use SPFX, there's a new version out. If you don't use SPFX, it's worth looking at, actually. It's a good way to maybe start a new project and maybe start a new idea, and then have something that is available in SharePoint and Teams at the same time. So definitely worth keeping an eye out for. They're doing some interesting things with adaptive cards as well. Interesting times and worth keeping an eye on that. So thanks, Vesa, for putting out that blog post. All right, I'm going to grab some coffee. It is first thing in the morning on Monday here. Let's talk about something else. So this is going to be a blog post as soon as I get around to blogging it, probably later today. So you folks are quite lucky, actually, because you often get stuff that I'm going to talk about now, and you get it kind of ahead of when I would be ready normally to put it out, because I saw this last night whilst I was putting together the notes for this show, and kind of immediately my thought was, I need to blog this. This needs to be a full-on blog post that I need to write up. But I haven't yet had the time to do it. But I did want to tell you about it. So you are going to get all this information before it actually hits the blog, which is a nice benefit for you of, watching these and subscribing to the podcast. So thanks for watching and listening. What am I talking about? This is a whole bunch of new API endpoints that have shown up in Graph in the beta endpoint around Teams and all around getting information about Teams-enabled devices. Sounds interesting, right? So things like being able to get a list of provisioned devices, being able to restart them, being able to run diagnostics on them, being able to force software updates on them, being able to look at their activity, their configuration, their health. Lots of really interesting things here. So I don't know that much about the IT pro world of things, but I do know there's this concept of managed Teams devices, and I know you can kind of pay Microsoft to look after your devices, or you can pay partners to look after your devices, or you can look after your devices yourself. And there's places in the admin center to go and manage those devices and see how those devices are doing. I think this is a set of API endpoints around exactly that same thing that will allow partners to integrate some of that information into their own dashboards, or other people like ISVs and stuff to expose different variants of that kind of managed Teams device admin experience. So super, super interesting. I'm going to share screen for a second. So a lot of this is all of this, is on the beta endpoint, but this is what I want to look through, this get teamwork device thing. So this will let you get the information about a particular device, and the information you kind of get back is things like the health status, the activity status, when it was modified, who the current user is, detail about the hardware, serial numbers, MAC addresses, manufacturers. Lots of interesting things here. There was something, I'm going to try and find it again now, a list of the different types of devices. So this is the resource type for that device, so you can kind of see the properties of the device, this kind of device object. And this was kind of interesting, the device type, because this kind of details the types of devices that you'll be able to list and then control using these API endpoints. So it's things like IP phones, Teams room systems, Surface hubs, collaboration bars, Teams displays, touch consoles. I don't know what they are. They're the optional peripherals to Teams rooms on Android to perform all the device functions. Okay. Low-cost phone, don't know what that is. The cost-effective Microsoft Teams phones. Oh, makes sense. Teams panels. We've talked about Teams panels in the past for meeting rooms. And then SIP devices, and then features. So really interesting. So things like health status, we've got offline, we've got critical, non-urgent, healthy. And then you've got links into health and configuration and activity. So I don't know what the operations that you can make on a device are. So let's have a look. What are the operations? So you can list them and you can get them. I don't think you can do anything. This tells you, I guess, the functionality and the capabilities. So you've got things like operation type, so things like restart, config, diagnostic, software update, blah, 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 blah. So let's have a look and see if you can get different teamwork devices, operations. So you can kind of see how you'd put these together, /devices / the device ID / operations in the operation ID, and you'll get back this information. I'm not sure if this is actually doing the operation or the last time it happened. So operation type of device restart. These look like GET requests. So I am going to say they don't actually do it. They're just for seeing when these things happen. So upshot, there's a whole bunch of interesting API endpoints that have kind of surfaced in the last, fairly recently, like a couple of days ago, that I don't see them out on the changelog anywhere. I don't see them published anywhere. So I think they're really, really new. They're very exciting. I think it'll be really interesting to see what partners do with them, and the different functionality that this will unlock, if you like. There was really one interesting point I did want to tell you about. That is a message on every page, actually, saying that temporarily these APIs are being offered at no charge, but Microsoft expects to charge for the use of some or all of these APIs in the future. They expect to charge. Microsoft will provide advance notice of pricing charges. Okay. And then there's a link to the current licensing model, which I don't know, actually. It just covers Microsoft Teams licensing. It doesn't specifically call out anything about these devices. What's interesting is that it's this page that we've been through in detail before around payment requirements for Microsoft Teams APIs, the thing that's split into Model A, Model B. So I don't know where that's going to fall in these. I don't know if this has been updated to cover devices. I haven't looked yet. So it looks like a whole interesting set of endpoints, but at the same time, a whole set of endpoints that Microsoft expects to be able to charge you for in the future. So this is kind of interesting to me. Like, it's interesting to see where Microsoft are drawing the line sometimes in charging for things and not charging for things. These are, by the look of it, they're relatively straightforward transactional APIs. So it's interesting to see Microsoft charge for access to transactional API information. I imagine if I was Microsoft, I would say something along the lines of, you can already get this information in the the sort of admin center. This is not around your data. This is management of devices that really are running software that we own. So it's kind of our data, and that's why we're charging you for it. And it sort of makes sense because who's going to use these APIs? In the main, it's probably going to be partners and ISVs building solutions. So I guess Microsoft wants some cut of those kind of solutions that are going to be commercially available, which I guess makes sense. But it's just interesting to see. I think we're starting to see a segmented graph, and that's probably something I need to write up actually because it's interesting. We're seeing a kind of segmented graph where parts of graph are being charged for and parts are not being charged for. And I'm not here to say that's a good thing or a bad thing. What I will say is that it has the potential to be quite confusing. So maybe there's I don't know how we do that. Maybe we kind of split the graph structure into two, and you have like two sets of documentation, and you got the free bit and the paid for bit. Or maybe it's more obvious on the pages where you're going that some things are charged for and some are not. But yeah, I think we're in that kind of in between place at the moment where right now kind of everything is basically free, and that's the sort of assumption going into it. But I think probably we're going to see that change over time a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how all that goes. All right. That actually wasn't the only thing I wanted to tell you about. So I thought that was really interesting. Look out for the blog post coming probably later today because I really want to spend some time today to write it up because I think it is important. But you are lucky to have, say lucky, use that word very loosely. You are, for whether you are lucky or unlucky, you have received this information before the blog post and before I fully formed my thoughts. Let's put it like that. I'm not sure lucky is the right word there. Anyway. Last thing I want to tell you about, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, I've already linked to this already and talked about it. And that is this post from Mary Jo Foley, all about Microsoft, around Microsoft Teams having more than 270 million monthly active users. We've kind of got a bit used to Microsoft announcements about how much usage Microsoft Teams has had, and we know Microsoft Teams has a lot of usage, and that's kind of interesting. What the key bit for me I thought that was kind of interesting is that back in July last year, so 6 months ago roughly, we were looking at 250 million monthly active. So it's gone up by 20 million, which is a lot. Don't get me like that is a lot. However you cut it, however you calculate it, whatever you think about how Microsoft figures out what monthly active actually means, by any kind of calculation, that is a lot of users. Why am I talking to you about it now? I think it's interesting as a developer. This is becoming a serious platform for writing apps on because of the number of people that use it every day and the number of people that use it every month and are exposed to it. Microsoft are doing a lot of work to surface applications for developers, to make it easier for developers to write applications and to make it easier for those applications to get discovered in the App Store when they're made. So this is a great platform for developers right now. And so if you're not actively writing applications for Microsoft Teams, if you're a developer and you're about to start a new project and you're not sure whether it should be on Teams, then I think you should consider it for lots of reasons. But actually, the monthly user count should be one of them, because if you want to write an application, you want to write it where users' eyeballs are going to be, and right now that is Microsoft Teams. Even if you're not a developer, if you're still wanting to write things for Microsoft Teams, there's lots of options open to you. There are lots of no-code and low-code solutions. I'm not going to go into loads of detail. If you follow this blog, you'll know I've just done a book about it. If you don't, if you're listening to this for the first time, I've just done a book about it. So you can go and find that. But yeah, it's a good place to be. And the monthly active user count is kind of an interesting metric on that. All right. I think that's everything I wanted to talk to you about. yeah, it's going to be a fun week, I think. Lots going on. And like I said, I'm going to be down in Southampton on Wednesday. So hope to see you there. If you're going to be around, come and say hello. And other than that, have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. And I will talk to you again next time.